Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Crazy Ron with Eyewitness Encounters of the Third Kind. I've got a pretty good video here for you today. It's called UFO Abduction by Aliens by Sean Ryder. It's a documentary. It's a pretty good documentary. I've done started it. So please keep an eye on. Watch next week. Please tune in and subscribe to Crazy Ron, Eyewitness Encounters of the Third Kind.
Prepared to listen. The documents relating to this incident are now available to the public. So Nick is taking me to view them at the National Archives, which holds copies of all the UFO reports ever filed. In 2012, nearly 7,000 previously secret documents detailing UFO sightings were released by the MOD. Access to these official papers is encouraging for people who believe they've encountered or even communicated with the extraterrestrial.
This is like the secrets that are kept in here.
X-Files.
These are the real life X-Files. Yeah. Some files from maybe 100 years ago that are still closed. I think if something is going to cause catastrophic damage to the national interest,
Such as we found out that Jack the Ripper was one of the royal family. Well, like that, keep that one closed.
yeah, that probably would be. I think we've got it. I think the stuff that you're looking for is right here.
Fantastic. So what file we got here, Nick?
This is the file on the bottom internet. List of sightings here. This is interesting. This is a map showing you, and that's actually my handwriting. When I was doing the investigation, I tried to plot out all the different sightings that came in.
So that night, Nick, and March the 30th, March the 31st, what actually happened?
Well, it was over a period of about 6 hours. All these reports came in. I mean, you can just get a sense of how many there are by leafing through this file. Oh, wow. This is from the Met officer at RAF Shawbury. Saw object stationary, then moving straight up, then zigzag movements. Isn't that like what you saw?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And he said, beam, which was narrow, like laser beam, and appeared to be searching for something on the ground.
You know, any theories of what they were looking for?
I don't know. I mean, to this day, this whole incident is completely unexplained. This is the killer document from the Ministry of Defence about the sighting. Here we are.
Look at this. Yeah. See. So as it says here, in summary, there would seem to be some evidence on this occasion that an unidentified object or objects of unknown origin was operating over the UK.
Well, that's an absolutely fantastic line. It's the nearest the MOD has ever come to saying UFOs are real, they're in our airspace, but we don't know what they are. Well, the other file that we've pulled out here, Sean, you'll like this. Basically, if you look at the original, what does all this stuff about flying saucers amount to? What can it mean? What is the truth? Let me have a report at your convenience. WSC. That's Winston Churchill.
Wow, incredible. Wow, look at this.
And this is the reply back to Churchill, Prime Minister, the various reports about unidentified flying objects described by the press as flying saucers. This is a real piece of history here.
God, blimey. Well, in terms of what I learned about the Cotswold incident today, I mean, there's a lot of credible witnesses there. I mean, not just a bunch of, fruitcakes, bubblegum heads. I mean, there's, we've got police officers, we've got military police, and people from the Air Force. And these I've actually seen their statements in there. So these are real credible witnesses, and not just some loons. I'm Sean Ryder, and I've been fascinated with UFOs ever since I saw one in the skies above Manchester. Now I'm trying to understand how other people approach this phenomenon. So far, I've met with Nick Pope. He's shown me previously classified documents on reported UFO sightings.
This is a real piece of history here.
God, blimey. The vast quantity of UFO reports prove that many people in the UK believe they exists. It made me question why witnesses are often ridiculed and why there is a need for the many UFO support groups that have mushroomed in Britain. I'm meeting with a former clinical psychologist to try and learn what makes groups like these tick.
Can I pour you some tea?
Yeah, please. I want to know why people join these groups and whether or not it helps to validate UFO sightings.
I suppose if people start to believe and take, have a certain belief, they might want to recruit other people to share that belief. It makes them feel better, and then there may be processes within the group where someone becomes a kind of guru figure, and if they're believed, then other people will follow that. And I think that sort of activity, is one that can bring the whole subject into doubt in many people's minds.
The other thing I find is people do have more than one UFO experience, and as with myself, you have one, and maybe another, and then by the time you're getting on to the third experience, I'm even questioning myself, but people really might go for one, but when you get on to two or even three, people start, not tending to believe.
Well, I suspect that it's because many people don't realise that these phenomena can occur, and that they do sometimes tend to be person-centred. The abduction experience, for instance, tends to be obviously by definition if it's recurrent, it's centering on a person or even a family, even generations within a family.
After speaking with Peter, I'm concerned that UFO groups can encourage those who doubt extraterrestrial reports, but I'm going to find out for myself. I'm heading to Watford to visit Edwin and Katrine. They run the UFO Academy, one of the many groups established for people to share their unidentified experiences. We're going on an all-night shoot, so, with a bunch of UFO people, a bit like me, a lot like me. We all love UFOs, and we're all a bit potty. Hello, is that Katrine?
It is.
Hi Katrine, it's Sean. I'm outside. Can we meet up?
Yeah, sure. Okay, well, I'll just come out now then.
Okay. Alright, see you in a minute.
See you in a minute.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Well, that was Katrine. She's coming to get me. Hello? Hi. Pleased to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
You alright?
Hi, Katrine.
Hi Katrine, Sean.
This is Edwin.
Hi Edwin. Oh right, okay, Katrine
Harry
Edwin.
Challenger.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me here. Oh, did I push me way in?
Sean, have you ever been to anything like this before?
No, never.
Never, really?
Never ever.
Okay, well, I hope you enjoy it.
Fascinating case for you tonight. It's a genuine case, and we know these witnesses very well. Family and friends have been ufologists for 30 years. He actually had the camera on him at the time, and he was taken by a craft that came out of the sky, and it just dropped down to about 900 feet and hovered there, and it just literally took him. His friends saw this, and he reappeared a couple of minutes later, and it's dragging back.
I was approached by representatives of a race of human-looking ETs. Well, I don't expect you to believe everything I'm saying, but how it resonates in your heart is all that matters. Other people sometimes raise that awful word called proof.
I've been an alien abduction counsellor, and it's been a rocky, difficult journey with some of them, but it's been well worthwhile, and we have learned, all of us, so much. Can you all hear me because of the...
To show their original pictures, and they're not processed or been manipulated or anything like that, and they're definitely genuine pictures. So we've been through all the processes to verify these images. Some of them show us sort of like an energy field around the object. film during the daylight?
The stuff that I've seen there, I don't want to be rude to these people, right? You know, again, but, you know what I mean, it's so amateur, you know what I mean? It's stuff that I've seen, it's like 40, 50 years old, that sort of stuff, you know what I mean? And the alien abductee, I'm just not having it, you know? I'm just not having it, you know? Alien abductees, real ones, are traumatised. They look like they've been in battle for 10 years. You know, they look like they've just come out of Beirut and Northern Ireland to Belfast or, you know, in World War II on the Normandy beach, rolled into one, you know. I just wasn't impressed.
What surprised me about the UFO Academy is that it felt more like group therapy than an analysis of the extraterrestrial.
Make it normal, make it real, speak from your hearts. Thank you.
It's great that there's a community for believers, but I'm not after catharsis. I need something more coherent. I know I've seen a UFO and I'm interested in what the scientists have to say. At the forefront of scientific extraterrestrial research is SETI, established in 1984. SETI is an internationally acclaimed organisation that uses state-of-the-art technology to search for intelligent life in the cosmos.
SETI is an acronym. It stands for the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, and it's basically a large set of radio antennas that work together to act as a single detector, and they point them at nearby stars, listening for coherent radio signals.
Leading the search for intelligence in the universe is Dr. Claudio Marconi, an internationally acclaimed Italian space scientist and chair of SETI. Not only has he received an award for his efforts to establish a radio observatory on the moon, he was appointed technical director at the International Academy of Astronautics in 2010.
If you assume that there are other civilizations, at least in this galaxy, then possibly they are also emitting radio waves. So the point for us is to use the best equipment we have in order to pick up possible radio emissions from other civilizations. If we are discovering all this right now, perhaps someone else in the galaxy may have understood this already.
SETI's cutting-edge technology gives me faith that scientists will have a breakthrough that will allow us to communicate with extraterrestrials, even if the skeptics think otherwise.
We might receive an unambiguously powerful and intelligent message from a star on the other side of the galaxy, and that might arrive tomorrow. And it might contain instructions to build something, or have some kind of encyclopedia galactica full of information that we could download and start reading through and getting to understand. But until that happens, I'm going to keep an open mind, but withhold judgment on whether there's any intelligent life. Because it's hard to...
So the whole of the universe, you don't think there's any intelligent life?
Well, if we're talking about an entire universe, then all bets are off, because the universe is big. It's so big, we don't even know how big it is, because we can't see over...
So I'm talking about the entire universe.
But it's best, I think, to kind of constrain our discussions, kind of conversations about this kind of thing to just our galaxy alone. Because if there's life on another galaxy just over there, perhaps there's life in the Andromeda galaxy, it's millions and millions of light years away. Even if it sent us a radio signal traveling at the speed of light, traveling the fastest thing that anything in the universe can move, it would take millions of years to get here. We couldn't have any kind of meaningful conversation, because by the time we sent our reply and got something back, that's older than humanity's been a species. You know, the time scales just blow your mind.
The numbers game does favor life developing in many places, if not thousands of places in the universe. But the most interesting would be here in our Milky Way galaxy, because then we have a chance of actually learning about them through our telescopes, through our studies, and if there were an intelligent civilization, that does enable the chance of communicating with them.
I'm feeling optimistic that scientists will find a way of communicating with extraterrestrial civilizations soon. Not just so I can prove the people who doubted my UFO experience wrong, but so I can see how a conversation with other worlds would impact life as we know it today. I'm Sean Ryder, and ever since I saw the UFO in the sky above Manchester, I've wanted to know how others are affected by these extraordinary experiences. I'm on a journey to try and understand how people deal with the unknown, from fellow witnesses to abductees and scientists.
This is physics, not science fiction.
I've seen the evidence from a former member of the Ministry of Defence, and I've visited a group created for fellow UFO believers. Even though the individuals I've met so far have been completely different, they're all on the same journey to understand the unknown. Now I'm venturing into a new avenue of ufology. There's a spiritual side to the extraterrestrial that I'm going to learn more about.
The feeling with we approach to extraterrestrial life, if any, is a feeling of wonder, of gratefulness, of sincerity.
There's clearly a relationship between visions and religion. There appears to have been that relationship for as long as there have been documents about religion or documented religion.
There are no theological arguments, a priori arguments, to exclude or to affirm the existence of extraterrestrial life.
To learn about the spiritual approach to UFOs, I'm visiting a worldwide organisation, the Aetherius Society, founded in 1955. They believe contacting extraterrestrials is the key to healing humanity and restoring balance on planet Earth. After my last group experience at the UFO Academy, I'm feeling a bit apprehensive.
So we're at the Aetherius Society. We're going to meet Richard. Okay. A little bit nervous. Office. Okay. Hello, it's Sean. Great, thanks. Sean, you're very welcome. Thank you. Please, yes.
Richard, what's the name of the society and what does the society believe in?
It's called the Aetherius Society,
Okay.
and we believe in life on other planets.
Yeah.
And we, if you like, we have a spiritual approach to UFOs and ufology, and we believe they've been with us for thousands of years.
Yep.
You know, it can be seen in the Hindu script, in
Oh,
the
yeah.
Bible.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I know you've studied it a lot, so across the board. And we believe the most important thing is that we can directly cooperate with them at this very dangerous time of great change prior to a new age.
So the prayer session this afternoon, Richard, what does that entail?
A group, I don't know what it'll be, maybe 50 people chanting the mantras. They're led in that. They're very experienced people. That's why, unfortunately, we're going to have to ask you to observe today.
He's brought into a religious aspect of it.
Right.
You know, I mean, that starts becoming a bit...
Spirituality might be a word people relate to better. I don't know. But, I think it's the key. It's just that it's been misused by people so often and distorted so often. You know, I mean, what does, with all due respect...
And the next big scientific breakthrough is in our own minds.
In fact, that's brilliantly put. Yeah, and of course there is that link too between science and religion.
The energy is absolutely believable.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's not saying I don't believe it.
No, that's fair enough.
How we can sort of contain it and let it go.
Yeah, that is different. I mean, I must admit, and I don't really expect you to just sort of take my word for it. I mean, I just invite you to see what we do and investigate what we discharge this, as we call it, in cooperation with beings from other planets. And then we keep a log of all those discharges and where it goes to and when, and we see what the effects are over a period of time. And it's been going for decades, and the effects are, you know, statistically, it's working.
So the energy that we carry around in ourselves is huge. I mean, the human being exploding, it'd be like a mini nuclear bomb going off.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
You all take our positions, please. The American team, the prayer team for the first session is Noemi, Ronald and Vivian. Prayer director Pat, timekeeper John, and Pete, caretaker of the battery. Om Mani Padme Hum
watching what I've just seen will think they're crackers. They really will think, they've lost it. I mean, some of their beliefs, to me, are based on science, and, that's more scientific than God living in a tabernacle. Any Sunday morning, any sort of church in England, there's thousands of people going through a very similar thing. So,
the funniest scream ever. Go for the moment at Great Wolf Lodge.
So, let's respect that, like I would any other religion. Even though I can't see myself signing up to the Theory Society anytime soon, I found their spiritual approach at trying to communicate with other planets really interesting. When you consider that it's statistically more probable that there's intelligent life in the cosmos than there is a God, groups like the Theory Society kind of make sense to me. The more approaches to ufology that I learn about, the more I'm wondering about the people who believe they've been abducted by aliens. The Ministry of Defence files show me lots of evidence for witnessing UFOs. The scientists made me think that one day we may be able to communicate with other civilizations, but actually being abducted is a different matter. So I'm going to meet Stefan Lubacek in Sutton Coldfield. He claims to have had several abduction experiences. I'm very jealous, actually. I might be frightened to death, but I wouldn't mind having a go.
We might have a go, what?
I wouldn't mind having a go of being abducted by aliens.
Not something that scares you?
Yeah, it frightens me to death, So does bungee jumping. Accounts of alien abduction like Stefan's are really rare in the UK, so I'm interested to hear what he has to say. Hello? Stefan? Hey, mate. Nice to meet you. Would you like to come in? Yeah, I would, yeah. Do you want to follow me through? Yes. So, tell me what happened, Stefan. I felt this sort of strange sensation. Everything seemed to sort of slow down, almost like a strobe light flicker, Everything seemed to slow down. And there was this tall thing. It was actually pink in colour. The way I've read this, like the Pink Panther. Yeah, it sounds really, really strange, doesn't it? But it's the only way I could actually relate to it at that particular moment in time. I could actually see like a perspex cabinet type thing, very low down. Just there were two drawers, and it actually appeared to have legs in it. Just sort of chopped up off legs. In this cabinet, and also behind me there was a cylinder off the floor with a severed head. Now, I'm seeing this, I'm thinking, my God, they're going to take me apart. People watching this, the skeptics, are going to say, come on, you're a kid, you're dreaming, your imagination is vivid, what do you say to that? Well, I'm actually not out to convince anybody. I'm just telling you of an experience. I can absolutely 100% tell you that I remember being there. It was real. Absolutely real. I wouldn't like to be there again. I wouldn't like to remember that I'd been there again. It doesn't seem to turn you into a nervous wreck. I'd sort of deal with it in a different way. Where I tend to try and have a laugh and a joke about it. That's my way of dealing with it. So, Stefan, how do you know that what happened to you as a kid wasn't a dream or sleep paralysis? Or a vivid imagination. I'm a very sceptical person. I'm more sceptical about my own experiences than I would be about somebody else's. And if I've been trying to sort of come to grips with this over the years and trying to sort of put it to bed, as it were, and
it just comes back to haunt me all the time. A lot of people out there that could add to what's going on around the world, but they just won't come out because they're just frightened of being sort of labelled a nutcase or something.
Has there been any abductions in this house, Stephen?
Yeah. Shall we go for a cig?
Yeah. I mean, let's go for a fag. Yeah. See, Stephen seems very sane and rational.
Yep.
Yeah. Like me. Do you think there's any patterns for sort of people that get grabbed?
I think, from my experience, I think it's something to do with bloodline.
Yeah?
I think it's something to do with...
Are we all sort of 5 foot something with blue eyes?
Well, I've got blue eyes, haven't I? I used to. I mean, I'm not contact lenses, that's for sure.
You had any inductions here in this house?
Yeah, I was actually... I woke up in the middle of the night. I felt very hot. Made myself a cup of coffee. Thought I needed to get some fresh air. Sat down just there in that chair. And then I lit a cigarette up, and then the next thing I saw was a very bright light. It came up from the ground, the other side of that fence. Lasted for about 4 seconds. And that sort of drew my attention in that sort of direction. And then what happened then is this sort of small being in a sort of semi-state of flux. It was not quite there, almost. It sort of walked through the fence. And then it sort of stepped back and took on sort of more solid form. I can see it, I speak to it, it tases me. I'm out cold. Wake up a number of hours later. I'm not actually cold despite it being very cold outside. I would expect to have been frozen to the bone. My coffee's stone cold. And the whole incident's over. I'd really like to get an expert opinion on what others might think that this is, because, you know, I can't explain it.
So the experience you had when you was 11, was that at this house or was that another house?
It was actually at another house, but it's not very far away, and I can take you there and I can show you this place.
Brilliant, let's go.
Okay.
I've never heard a story as elaborate as Stephen's. His account is impressive, but it's hard to take everything on board without evidence. I wonder if I'll be more convinced when we visit the house Stephen thinks he was abducted from. He seems pretty relaxed about it all, but I know I'd be really nervous if I was returning to talk where a UFO would be built. I'm Shida, and I've been travelling across the UK in order to understand the different people who would share UFOs. It's a subject I've been obsessed with since my own UFO sighting back in the 70s. I had the privilege of meeting people with a cross-section of opinions. I saw some convincing testimonies in classified UFO reports, and I joined a group of believers whose evidence I found less impressive. From skeptics to scientists and spiritualists, I've heard how each group approached communicating with the extraterrestrial. Now I'm back in the Midlands with Stephen Lubitschek. He believes he's been abducted by aliens several times.
All I saw was a light source. It came up from the ground, very intense bright light.
His account is remarkable, but I'm struggling to make sense of it. We're on the way to the house Stephen thinks he was abducted from when he was 11. I'm hoping this will help me decipher if I'm hearing fact or fiction. So how do you feel generally about reliving this stuff, Stephen?
I don't like to relive it. I don't like to relive any of it. We should go away, you know, just sort of leave me in peace and be quiet.
You're not shaking or anything, you want to have it, just knock it on the head and turn around and go with a booze on. What do you think the people in the house would say now, Stephen, if they knew what went on there?
I don't know, to be honest with you. Hopefully it's not happening to them. I don't think it's related to the house anyway.
No, it's not related to you.
I think it's related to people, persons. Yeah, I can see the house.
Is this it?
Yeah, no, see that house there? Let's get up the car.
Right, facing up.
So here we are then.
Well, which house is it?
It's that house over there. You can see the loft extension window going out onto the roof. And that was where I had that experience that I mentioned earlier when I was 11 years old.
So you're 11 years old, you're living in that house, and that's your bedroom for dormer bedroom.
That's right.
So, go on, tell me what happened there, Stephen.
basically, these strange things came in the night, and they took me into a spacecraft, and they did things to me, and then they put me back, and that happened, from what I remember, twice. I can remember 2 vivid experiences of actually being on board some sort of a spacecraft.
Was you accompanied by an alien?
Yeah, there were 2. When I was actually on that roof, in this beam of light, which they told me was what was making me not fall off the goddamn roof. When I was actually, there were these 2 things, short guys, beside me, and we travelled up in that light together.
And you get any sense of shape of this object?
Any colour? Well, no, because of the light. You see, the light is bright. It's a very bright light. You can't see through it. I didn't get any idea of the actual size of this thing. It could have been small. It could have been massive, because, you're in the light. You're actually underneath it. It's bright. You just can't see it, and then you're inside, and then I'm sort of taken along this walkway that sort of curves round and takes me up to this holding area. Takes me up into this holding area, and through a door appears and then becomes a wall, and then they come and collect you, and they do this strange stuff to you, and eventually they. So, I don't know. Can we get out of here now? Yeah. I just don't want to be. I don't want to be here anymore. Seriously, it's not. I don't want to be here anymore. It's upsetting me.
There's obviously stuff at you. So I think we better do one and get out of the hood.
Let's get the hell out of here quick. Stop me, It's just too many memories. Too many memories for you back. I can't go with it.
It's a bit upsetting anyway, sitting here, so I think we should do one, mate.
It just sort of got to me. I don't know. We've got to
just ask him if he's all right. You're alright. You'll be fine. Step in. Yeah. Do you want to get out?
I don't want to go back there.
Do you ever expect to get any sort of closure on this, Stephen?
No, I don't.
Do you think this is with you for the rest of your life?
Yeah, I think it will be.
Stephen's reaction to the place he believes he was abducted from was shocking, and I'm not sure what to make of it. Clearly, there has been a chain of events that have deeply affected him, but whether they were extraterrestrial experiences, I'm not sure. I think Stephen's a really nice fella, very interesting fella, and only Stephen knows the truth. So, we can't prove it or disprove it. I cannot prove what you're saying or disprove what you're saying. I'm grateful to Stephen for sharing his story. From my own experiences, I know it can be hard to speak out about UFOs when you think people won't believe you. But when I think about what I've learned from the experts on my journey, I can't help but think there could be other explanations for what happened to Stephen.
People see things, and what they see is absolutely located within their cultural environment.
I mean, obviously, in some cases, it may be that if people are reporting a plethora of strange experiences, it is actually related to loose thinking or misinterpretation, and I've certainly met people that I think fall into that category, but I've also met people who don't seem to fall into that category, whose testimony does impress me.
If you, for example, look at 17th century narratives about people who were stolen away by the devil, and then if you look at narratives about UFO abductions, people being still stolen away and poked and prodded, the similarity between those two things is altogether striking. But not many people these days will take those narratives from the 17th century and say that's what happened, the devil did these people. So we are probably entitled to exercise similar skepticism with respect to UFO abduction narratives.
I wasn't completely convinced by Stephen's account of his abduction. My journey across the UK has only strengthened my belief in UFOs. Meeting with the skeptics was interesting, but they still haven't changed my mind about my UFO sighting. So you don't think I'm lying about what I saw? You just think I was mistaken?
No, I don't for a second think that you're lying. I think you truly believe you saw something you don't understand and you don't have an explanation for it. And I don't have an explanation for what you saw. But I think there's plenty of things out there that we haven't yet found explanations for that might end up being, run-of-the-mill or standard or have a normal explanation that we just haven't found yet.
If you woke up tomorrow morning and it was, 6 o'clock in the morning and pitch black, and you looked out your window and then over your house, you saw a proper UFO, and then you watched it and observed it and it moved about, and then it shot off at 10,000 miles an hour. How would that change the way that you think now?
Well, I mean, it obviously would, and you've always got to keep an open mind. You've always got to allow for the possibility that you've been wrong about everything so far, wrong about particular things that then get disproved by new things you see, new evidence that you collect. But until that day, what confuses me about UFOs, it always seems to be, yourself or a couple of friends you're with at the time will see something in the sky that they don't understand. But if there was a UFO, if there was a crew of aliens inside a flying saucer or some kind of spaceship, why would you bother just visiting 2 or 3 people at one time? Why would you not come to Mexico City? 10 million people would all lock up at the same instant. There'd be thousands and thousands of iPhone photos and camcorder footage of the same thing. But it's always just a few people. And I'm not saying, I certainly don't believe that people that have seen UFOs are lying. I think you've seen something you truly believe is something not of this world or something you can't explain. And I can't explain it. And a lot of these things will probably never be explained. But until there's something that is seen by lots of people independently, all at the same time, that cannot be explained by anything else, I'll then believe in spaceships visiting us.
Speaking with Lewis gave me hope that there's potential for even the most sceptical individuals to change their mind about UFOs with time. I've met some truly fascinating people who've opened my eyes to new realms of ufology.
The nearest the MOD has ever come to saying UFOs are real, they're in our airspace.
I feel like we have a spiritual approach to UFOs and ufology.
I was touched by the way everyone welcomed me with open arms and how they were happy to share their experiences.
I'm an ET contact experiencer.
I've been an alien abduction counsellor.
From the spiritual to the scientific, I feel privileged to have witnessed the ways in which people are trying to communicate with life on Earth. While I didn't see eye to eye with everyone on this trip, I feel an affinity with those who, like me, believe that we are not alone in the universe.
Well, I think both in our solar system and around other stars, it's a very exciting time as far as the question of life in the universe is concerned. Maybe, if we're lucky in our lifetime, we may find some evidence of life outside of the Earth.
I'd like to thank you for watching. This is Crazy Ron with Eyewitness Encounter at the top. And tune in next week for more videos.